Well, hello everybody. How are we doing? Could just hear you in the background there. Can you speak? So can you speak? You're not on mute, are you? I just heard him go interested as soon as we're about to come back on.
I was saying, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And then I didn't think you could, so I'm like, interesting.
No, I just literally put you on mute, and then I was like, I'll see how long this lasts. I was there for like 20 seconds, just like that on the camera.
Well, just sat there like,
I keep forgetting you can see me in there as well. Well, hello, everybody. As professional as ever, it is the return of... Well, it's the return of Battlelines. I don't know how long this is going to go on for. We're doing a little bit of a tester.
about 10 minutes.
Last about 10 minutes. But it was very strange. We got into the background and Jim went, all right, mate. And I thought, bloody hell, we've not done this in a while. And I felt a bit rusty. But it is Battlelines. Jim Bobberoni is back. Your favourite show. My favourite show. I'm seeing some of the regulars in from Jimmy's channel as well. I've not seen some of these names in a while. Tom Barnsley, the man whose second name, I'm sure delights Callum Fowler, I'm sure, who I do see in the chat as well, which is unfortunate. Go give him a bit of hate if you want, everybody.
Callum Fowler, who's he?
Yeah, exactly. We used to kind of like his stuff, but now he's just a jumped up tyke, isn't he? So... but good to see everyone in the building. We have reconvened. Jimmy, what is going on, mate? I can't. There's been so much that has gone on since we were last here, mate. I don't know where to start, but I guess just what have you been up to, mate? On a personal level, is everything going all right?
Yeah, I feel like I'm back with my therapist, to be honest. But, it's not been good, mate. It's not been good at Sheffield United. Thank you for having me back. This is also my favourite show on One Leeds. So I appreciate coming back on and having the invite extended to me. Back by popular demand. He tried to get rid of me, basically, is what you guys need to know. And then the fans demanded that Battlelines return. So we're here. We're here.
They're all there. They're all there with pitchforks outside my flat.
They were there, yeah. Alt Ramblers getting back on. So, yeah, we have been saying for a while we wanted to do this. And in fairness, we love working together. And, I don't mean to speak for Con, but we really enjoyed it last season. And it's just what we always want to do is make it make sense for why we come together. So you can never really force stuff on you. There's no real reason for a regular Championship club and Premier League side, even though we are loose rivals, even though me and Connor get on really well and channels have got a good crossover. We're not interacting week to week, are we? So it's one of those as clubs, I mean. So it's been difficult. But for those that haven't been keeping tabs on Sheffield United, and I'm sure a lot of you have, and thank you to those that continue to support the Ramble, even in our times of despair. We sacked Chris Wilder in the summer, and Connor's been keeping up with it on his Conor McGilligan channel, and some really good stuff over there on Sheffield United. Well, hard to watch at times, but truthful.
I try to be balanced. I remember last time, but we're all friends channel.
We are, yeah, we are. None of these ham-faced comments or anything like that, please.
It got a lot nicer, didn't it? Because obviously you had a lot of Leeds fans coming over, I had a lot of Sheffield United fans coming over. So it's a bit like we turned at the very beginning. We were very bitey with each other, but we had to back off.
Well, I'm going to come on to it, and I will come on to the whistle stop tour of our Sheffield United are doing. But I actually find myself, obviously, for those that don't know, Connor does a great show with Callum on the Conor McGilligan channel over on his second channel. I do a show with Cal as well, and now I'm doing a show with Con, so we're all like jumping in and out of each other's beds, really. And but I do a show with Callum on a Monday night, and it's called Yorkshire's Finest, and we talk about, I know he's in chat, so he can bite back at us if he wants, but I feel like he goes in too hard on Leeds, and I actually find myself defending Leeds United.
It's bizarre to watch. It's bizarre to watch.
It's a position I never thought I'd find myself in, because I always, in a Sheffield United space particularly, I were the one going for Leeds, because they're more like, no, Wednesday are the ones we hate, Wednesday we hate. And I obviously I've come on here before and said, no, I'd rather be in front of Leeds than in front of Wednesday, all this, because of where I've grown up. Anyway, so yeah, if you've not seen it, Cal thinks you're going to be 15 points adrift come Christmas, and we'll have to wait and see whether that comes to life or not. But Sheffield United, very quick whistle stop, mate. You asked how we've gone. You know how we've gone. You're just trying to put me through a bit of misery. So we sacked Chris Wilder after getting 92 points. the season previously. The board wanted to go in a different direction. Prince Abdullah no longer involved with the club. We've got this new American ownership. They want to put a head coach in and sort of become this sexy football team that is nothing. We've never been a sexy football team. We're an hard-working, blood and thunder, spit and grit sort of side. And it just brought in Ruben Sayers, whose crowning achievement is getting Hull out of the relegation zone. And it's wrong man, wrong time. And I feel harsh on Ruben Sayers, but he is officially the worst manager that Sheffield United have ever had. He was talking in riddles. He was talking about vertical football and all this nonsense.
New age.
It's new age football, mate. When really it's just try and get the ball in the goal and keep it out at your end. I really do believe you can overcomplicate it. I know there's a lot of complexity to it, and we like to analyze games and stuff, but at the end of the day, you don't have to overcomplicate it. So, and then the transfer window was an absolute bust for us as well. We lost an El Ahmed Hodzic, who was a big blow, but the one that's really killed us is Vinny Souza going. We expected that to happen, but under Chris Wilder, I would have backed him to get a reasonable replacement or an equivalent or something like that. I'm not saying we'd have got somebody of Vinny's caliber, but I certainly wouldn't have expected the drop-off that we had. Towards the end of the window, they were starting to lose faith in Ruben Sayers. It looked like Wilder might have had some involvement in some of the players brought in late on, and that is speculative and nothing that we know about. But then they've sacked Ruben Sayers after getting hammered 5-0 against Ipswich. He left out Gus Hamer, who Leeds fans know all about, and Tyrese Campbell, who were our top scorer last season. Left them out of the side because that's what you do, isn't it? You leave your best player and your top goal scorer out when you need a victory.
Sorry, mate. We just
5-0, and he
sorry, mate. I thought you were going to comment because we had the old tea maker come in there, but you're on a rant. I thought you just old times.
Things haven't changed, have they? Still as pampered as ever.
Still not got a ring on it,
mate. Have you told them why you didn't come on our show on Monday?
To be honest, I can't remember. Go on. What was it? I can't remember.
You can remember. You can. You were at a spa day.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, true.
Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah.
Pampered.
And the week before, come on, mate, no problem. I'll come on, but I've got a headache.
You bugger. You bugger.
Headache.
Nice and concussed. Nice and concussed.
It was disgraceful behavior.
Team Callum.
Anyway,
Jimmy's a knobhead.
Basically, the board has realised the error of their ways. They've brought back the Messiah. We didn't quite get the bounce that we thought we would have at Charlton. He's since recognised it's probably a bigger rebuild job than he initially thought because Ruben Sayers has destroyed the confidence of these players. And we've only won one in 9 in the league. So
was it that bad? Was it that bad, Jim? Obviously I've naturally been keeping tabs on it, and it seemed like I don't know how to describe. I mean, the only thing I can compare it to is when Leeds moved on from Bielsa, and it was just this hole. And I at the time was very much like, I do think the players were just done with Bielsa. They were dead. We didn't have the quality of player, but you could tell physically they were done as well. But then when he left, you realised afterwards the like chasm that he left, and it just felt with Wilder that what he'd achieved. And I kind of put something out on Sayers and I said, look, I get it. I get what they're trying to do. It's modern football. And we spoke, didn't we, about Wilder's running like Sheffield United towards the back end of games. I think you brought up the stat. You were like 17th because you just couldn't keep going till the ends of games. And that's against Leeds. The end of the game is where we picked you off. Start of the game, you were fierce. Do you know what I mean? So it's, but it felt like it was just the wrong time and it almost like the wrong person to do it to. You've got to do it more respect. I was surprised he took it back, to be honest. I was surprised he came back in. Was that a common consensus, or was it like, that's the only job for me sort of thing?
I don't know. We were getting mixed signals in terms, because whenever anything happens in and around Chris Wilder, because he's so entrenched in Sheffield, people know him. And you get to find out little bits and bats. So when he were in charge, you'd hear things about transfers and you'd hear little bits and bats through the grapevine and the jungle drums and all that. So when he was coming back, we were getting mixed messages. It were like, well, some are saying he don't fancy it and like they'll have to offer him a really good package. And others were saying he'd snap their hand off, given a chance to come back. And you look at Chris Wilder's record and you think, well, he would get another chance at a championship club after getting 92 points now. He's done a really good job with Sheffield United season before, but is he going to get much better a job? I think he was going to hold out for like a Southampton or a Leicester, and he might have been in the mix for those, but he fits at our club. And I think the owners were scared really that he had too much power, and I think that's been part of the reason why they wanted to take him out of there, and so they could sort of take the reins. I may be completely off with that, but that's the optics looking at it from outside in. And there is a little bit of a consensus around some of the fan base that's not necessarily didn't want him back, but are fearful that we are relying too much on one man. And I think,
yeah, I get that.
The general opinion is we now need to build a structure around Chris Wilder that isn't completely Chris Wilder centric. So we need, like, if we were to bring in a sporting director, for example, he would have to work with that sporting director, and it has to be some people that bridge into the next manager, whether that's in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. We have to build an infrastructure around him while he's here, rather than when he's sacked or when he leaves, we have to just rip everything up and start again, because he's a unique individual that has his finger in little bits of everything, really. So it's a precarious position to be in when you're so reliant on one individual. And even now, he hasn't been able to get it right yet. We can see improved performances,
yeah, but
we're still looking pretty poor, mate. In a lot of metrics, to be honest, it's hard to change the mentality of the players when it. And the danger we've got is the performances are improving, so naturally you'd think the results will come. If the results don't come, then the confidence will eventually start to dip again, and it'll be a case of, well, we're never going to get out of this mess. So there is a real concern. We come back after the international break. They're unfit. That's another thing as well, which is a huge thing.
Well,
and
still,
yeah, that were a problem under Wilder previously. But we've got Watford at home when we come back, and that is what I would say is a game we need to target 3 points from. And you don't ever want to say, you turn up and you beat these two. We thought when Wilder came back against Charlton at home, oh well, that's a layup then. That's a pretty much, that's an ideal game for him to come into, bounce into. And
they were good, weren't they? They were good second half,
really
Charlton.
Good, mate. And in hindsight, it's a nightmare team for you to play against, because their whole game plan is to soak up pressure and hit you on the break. So as much as we were pushing and pushing and pushing and leaving gaps at the back, they caught us and beat us.
So would you say the division? Because we were saying it last year, weren't we? We were saying how good it was. You had Sunderland up there doing what they were doing. You had obviously Sheffield United, Leeds, Burnley, and it felt like there was Coventry were given a good sort of crack at it as well.
Yeah,
and others. Do you think it's better this season because of the three that have come up? Because obviously they're all highly competitive, aren't they? Birmingham have gone off a little bit, but it feels like you're looking at the Championship now again, and Coventry look really good. They look like they've stepped up as well. Is it? Would you say it's more competitive now?
It's a much more competitive, it's a much closer league as well. So what I would say is, like, you look at Charlton, for example, they are, in terms of ranking, they are the 24th team in the league, because they were the League One playoff winners. So you've got Birmingham who came up, Wrexham who came up, both spent a bucket load of money, but Charlton have also signed really quite cutely, and they've done really well on the quiet as the third team to come up into the division. So I think the bottom is squeezed really tightly, and you don't really have a whipping boy at the moment. Some people would say it's Sheffield Wednesday, and I'm not saying that for any sort of side dig, but obviously they're an absolute
or you.
Well, we have been uncharacteristically and inexplicably, it has been us, to be honest, that has been the weak team, and I think that will turn. But it should be Sheffield Wednesday. Now, if you're Sheffield United, that doesn't count for us. They are not going to be an easy 3 points like other teams will be looking at Sheffield Wednesday, because we are their cup final and they are ours as well. It's not like it's not a one-way thing, is it? It's not a dig. It's more a case of, well, if they're going to be the easy team that everybody steamrollers, which they haven't quite been, they've put up a bit of a fight, but everybody still thinks they're going down. It won't be like that for Sheffield United. So there is no whipping boy for Sheffield United in this league at the minute. But I also think, by the same token, although Coventry have started really well, there's no Leeds or Burnley this year either. So there's no teams that are going to stand out. And I don't think the top end of the league is as good as Leeds or Burnley were, or even we were at times last season in very sort of smaller pockets. But
it doesn't look like
it last season.
It doesn't look like it's going to be 90 points. It doesn't look like it's going to be anywhere near that, really. It's crazy saying that, really, when you're looking at the Championship. But obviously, we analyse this a lot more on the second channel when it comes to the Championship and how it's looking at this moment in time. But I guess from a Sheffield United, obviously, we've got a lot of Sheffield United fans in the chat now as well, and we'll get into a couple of comments. But how are you looking at Sunderland now? I mean, I think we had a chat back then, and I said, I want you up. And I think you took maybe a little bit of offense to that. And it wasn't because it's Sheffield United. It's very much because I looked at Sunderland and I thought, massive
Oh, you mean
club.
when you'd already gone up?
Yeah.
You thought Sunderland would be more of a threat longer term than Sheffield United?
I thought, but I said that to you throughout. I thought they would be a problem because of the recruitment. They spent no money and they were still very competitive, weren't they? Especially in the games against you. I thought they were, I mean, against us, they were very good as well in both games. And I just thought that if they went up with that recruitment strategy that they've got and the amount of wiggle room they've got with PSR, I mean, they're not even encroaching on PSR. They can go big again in January if they want. I thought that would be a little bit more of a problem. Does it? I mean, you can't just live in the past, can you? But do you look at what is Sunderland now, and especially with if Sheffield United right now were taking apart the Championship, or at least were sort of like top six, you'd be looking at it and you think, well, there's no point looking at the past. You know, this season we're going to do it. We've got faith. But I guess now you kind of look at it, don't you? And you see with sort of how well Sunderland are doing. It's not that you do the mirror image, but I guess it's that 20-minute spell in it at the end at Wembley where you think to yourself, I mean, you were the better team in that game. You were the better team for 70 minutes. It was incredible how that turned around.
To cry on stream. What,
I don't know. But you must look at it, mate. 'Cause I know I would do as a Leeds fan if we were in that position and just think, shit.
Yeah. Oh, mate, it's a huge sliding doors moment. That has changed the trajectory of our football club. And even then, when you think about it, and hindsight's a wonderful thing, but even when the result goes against you, it happened to Leeds last season. And we've always said, and I know some people push back on it, but others understand when we say this, that Leeds are a bigger club than Sheffield United. But we've followed similar trajectories over the last 10, 15 years. We've both been down in League One. We've both been up in the Premier League and struggled at times, but also had a good season up there, but always come down to the Championship, giving it a good go. And I thought, looking at the Leeds blueprint, you stuck with Daniel Farke last season after the failed playoff campaign, and he took you up as champions. And I thought, that is the blueprint. I'm not saying it was definitely nailed on to happen, but we knew that Leicester were going to come down and struggle. We knew Southampton would have to get rid of loads of players. Huge transition for them. We all thought Ipswich were going to be the team that stood out. Coventry always go well, but they've gone better than I think most people expected. But we certainly expected to be in the mix, and we've been nowhere near it. So I would even take us out of, well, I don't even know. I don't even like saying it out loud because I've not really said it yet, but we can't even think about playoffs. We're bottom of the league. We can't think about promotion.
It's a long season, though, Jim. It's a long season.
It is, mate. But this is our last season of parachutes, and we need to get promoted this year. Otherwise, we become a Middlesbrough or a Stoke or a
Norwich,
Swansea or Norwich and West Brom. These teams that are all right at the level, but then they are the nearly men. And once we are falling out, we have got a very real risk of falling out of that top 6 or 7 bubble that we were talking about last season, where Ipswich, Leicester, Southampton, Leeds, Burnley, Sunderland, and Sheffield United were all in this sort of too good for Championship a little bit, not quite good enough for Premier League. We're at a real risk of falling out of that and just becoming a Championship side. And it hurts. It hurts. And to be honest, at the minute, we need to focus on getting away from relegation zone. That is our main priority, which is slightly embarrassing to say, but you've got to respect the league and how good it is and how hard you have to work to get 3 points. It's something Wilder has to keeps reminding us of, but it's true, mate, and it's a tough league. Tough league, mate.
Yeah, it is. It is. Mr. Vancouver, God, a name I've not seen. I've not seen for a while. Hi, Jimmy and the other fella. Yeah, he's back. I can't criticize your stats this season, and I hope at least one of the 3 promoted teams manage to stay up. I haven't given up on us getting promoted just yet. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Amy says, good to see you back, Jimmy. Smash a like, guys. What a team up, says Remy. Jim Bob, seeing the Sheffield's current predicament is Championship survival. For the Blunts, a good season.
No, it's not a good season, but obviously it's the first priority at the moment. It's not a good season at all.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. Well, listen, mate. I know we've spoken briefly about Sheffield United, and this is one Leeds, so you guys will talk about it a lot. But we haven't had a chance to talk about Leeds.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know the general consensus, and can't gauge the Leeds fan base too much. So you can tell me really how you feel like your season's going, but. Again, speaking to Cal on it, who looks like me from outside in, He's saying he don't think it's a great return. You've only got 8 points from 7 games. I think that's a good return. In the Premier League, you've already been to Arsenal away. You've played Newcastle. You got a point off Newcastle. You've beaten Everton. I think it's a decent start. And I know you'll be disappointed with the way certain games have gone, the Bournemouth game and things like that. And obviously the Spurs game, losing it by the one. But surely you have to acknowledge where you are in your consolidation as a club and recognise that it's not going to come straight away. You're not going to be able to steamroller anybody at this stage. And I know a lot of your previous sort of successes have come on like outworking teams. That were more like the Bielsa years in the Premier League. But 8 points from 7 games is not a bad return, I don't think. When you look at Burnley, who are on, is it 4 points Burnley are on? I know you play them next, which is a huge game. But how are you feeling about your start to the season, mate?
Well, you got to think with Callum Fowler, this is a guy who a week before the Man United game was saying Sunderland are going down without a prayer. He then gets called out by other Sunderland fans. A week later, he's got them winning 3-0 at Old Trafford. So that's the mark of the man, really. So no, I think to be honest, I get what he's saying to a certain level, but I think when you look at points per game, it is massive. I think Cal's just got it in his head a lot that it's the 3 promoted teams are going down and that's that. And there's no sort of manoeuvring in his mindset. Brentford are the best team since sliced bread. They're never going down.
Yeah, there's no chance to get anything at Brentford.
Wolves are definitely staying up. West Ham under Nuno are definitely
Forest.
They're all 100%.
Forest under Ange.
They're staying up. Yeah. So
I'm just like, what?
So I presume I'm going to get, obviously we're doing the show tomorrow. I presume now we think Sunderland are going back down again. So after the weekend. So, but it is one of those where you've got to look at our fixtures. And when you've played Everton, Newcastle, Arsenal were atrocious, but it is Arsenal still. But Bournemouth in there, I think people still look at Bournemouth as like this tin pot small club. They're an outrageously good team. They're a very good team, mate.
Yeah, they are.
And then you've got obviously Spurs at the weekend. I think we're showing last time we're in the Premier League, it felt like for a big period we were the whipping boys, and you just you were getting to Ellen Road thinking how much is this going to be? Or is it going to be I mean, last time Spurs came to Ellen Road, it was 4-0, I think, or it might have been 3 or 4-0, I think it was, but they just battered us with it just felt like that most weeks, especially when the big boys came. I think we're competitive. It is and obviously you've got experience of DCL as well. There's a certain right back who I want to talk to you about in a bit as well. But I think overall it's been, like I say, a point per game. I mean, if Sheffield United got promoted, I'm sure the divisions now, isn't it? But if Sheffield United got promoted, I think above a point per game. Now, I don't know what the expectation is. Is the expectation us to be on 12, 13, 14 points by now? I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's very difficult for me to articulate, it's been a brilliant start to the season. I'm just kind of going on previous metrics that
I think position you can be pleased with, can't you? You don't have to be, we need to be on 10 points after 7 games, or we need to be on 12 points. What are you, 15th?
15th, yeah.
Above teams like West Ham and Burnley and teams that you would want to be above at this stage. So, I mean, Sunderland obviously have started really well, but I think they're only a point better off than you. So everybody's raving about how well Sunderland do, and they've gone really well, Sunderland, and I rate their start, and I think they're probably edging out as the most likely of the promoted sides.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But it doesn't mean Leeds have got no chance. And again, like going to Brentford, I'm not saying you'll be the favourites at Brentford, but it doesn't mean you can't get anything. And it's same with Gunnar Forest. It's not a complete write-off because it's an away game in Premier League. You can go to these teams and you can get something on any given day. And I think to write anybody off, really, I mean, even Burnley are giving it an half-decent swing. There's some sides that are performing really poorly. Wolves don't look anywhere near it, to be honest, for me. So, there's other teams that will dip throughout the season, and it's whether you can take advantage of that or not. So
I think the swings are, Jim, it's like there's so many big games when we get back, but it's if Wolves got a Sunderland, and Wolves, and you know all this about the Premier League, when you used to have these big games and used to go, and because the Premier League sides with Premier League benches and very established managers, and you'll play them and you'll go, fancy is here. And then you'll play a Premier League team, Jim, and they'll beat you 2-3-0, and you're like, well, what happened? What happened? And it's because it's the Premier League, and you kind of forget sometimes. And I was just saying, like, if Wolves could quite likely go to Sunderland and beat them 2-0, and then Wolves are back on 5 points, then you've got Burnley on 4, you've got West Ham on 4, you've got Wolves on 5, and they're right back in it again. So it's the Premier League and what these sides can do. You look at probably what Nuno's going to be able to do.
It's pretty good. Fine lines, isn't it? Because the odds are stacked against you from day dot. You'll get promoted into the Premier League, and immediately, like, Wolves' 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th man would start for you. Would start for any of the promoted sides.
Yeah,
and they are the out of form side at the minute that everybody's looking to target to pull back in, but their bench starts for all 3 promoted sides, and you think that
Strand Larsen got 15 goals last season, and he's their striker, and he's just not pulling up any trees right now.
Yes. And this is what you're up against, isn't it? And I think DCL's a shrewd bit of business, really. Again, it's a risk. Is DCL. What I think you've done quite cutely is you've upgraded every position. Whether they're going to ultimately be good enough, the positions that you needed to upgrade, you've done it. And I don't think you've gone crazy with some of your signings. I think you will probably look enviously over at Sunderland in some of the names that they've brought in. I remember over at summer, I was watching your stuff, and you were like, will Sunderland go away, please? Because everybody that we want, they seem to swoop in and get. And they have done a really good job of recruitment of Sunderland, and that's probably why they've got off to the best start of the 3. But I think you've recruited quite smartly in a lot of positions. I think, like, Calvert-Lewin is the primary one. You've upgraded there on essentially Bamford. You've swapped Bamford out, an injury-prone Championship striker, for an injury-prone Premier League striker.
Yeah.
And it's just, if you can keep him fit, like was your mantra with Bamford, I suppose, to a degree. If you can keep Bamford fit in Championship, you're laughing. You didn't, and he didn't really have an impact. But if you can keep Calvert-Lewin fit and get him in the goals, which he's obviously picked up now, and hopefully will start to kick on. Because I've nothing against Dom. I think he's a Sheffield United fan, just so everybody's clear on that. He's a Sheffield United boy, came through the academy at Sheffield United. But so we wish him well. And just hope he's over his injuries, because there's a player in there. It's just, can you play to his strengths, and can you keep him fit? I think is probably the key.
Well, I think for our play, I think I mentioned this several times. It's probably boring now, but in terms of his Route 1 ability, probably in my lifetime, I don't think I've ever seen anyone that good at hold up. Genuinely, I think he's so good at hold up. It is unbelievable. His jump is outrageous.
Yeah, he's got a great leap.
Like, hit in aerial battles with centre backs, I'd put him up against the best. I think where it's missing is there was a snap opportunity against, and you'll have seen it, Bentancur lost the ball in the first half. He's in. He just a top centre forward just rolls that in the corner, smacks it up the bar. Bournemouth, he's thrown goal inside 20 seconds. He's got to score. Sheffield Wednesday, he's had three opportunities against their under-16s and missed them all. And it's kind of one of those where that's going to be highlighted a lot more than what he's doing for the team, because goals are just they're what keep you up. And Leeds, I mean, you'll know this as well, but they've spent a lot of money per week. I think his wages are at 90 upwards, so it's a big investment for Leeds. It's a big gamble as well. Leeds fans will always be bothered about that, I think. But I think, to be honest, Jim, it's been a good start. But those goals need to start coming for him, I think.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. But like we always say about Gus Hamer, if he was the finished article, he wouldn't be playing for Sheffield United. Because when we're bitching and moaning about why ain't Gus like being the one to sort of
what happened? What's he doing?
I know, mate. I know. Well, a lot of people are game you now, to be honest. So it's one of them, really. It's why can't he take the team by the scruff of the neck? And it's because he's not the complete player, and neither's Calvert-Lewin. If he was a prime top form Premier League striker,
playing Champions League, wouldn't he? Be playing Champions League.
It wouldn't be at Leeds United, and that's not a slight on Leeds. That's because you'd have been crowded out by a Newcastle or somebody who'd have doubled his wages and all this sort of stuff. So you have to be aware of the market that you're shopping in as well. And he is undoubtedly an improvement on Bamford or Piru or whoever you were playing in that number 9 position, because that were a position you struggled for all last season. The thing will be, can you keep him fit? Because beneath him, you're back to your championship side, aren't you? So, and that's just the way it is at Premier League level.
Well, from a local lad to someone who's not a local lad, but he did play for you in the Premier League, and he was one of the, you'd rather have taken anybody over Jayden Bogle. I mean, Jayden Bogle was the last fullback you'd have wanted. He was a terrible defender. He was very overhyped. Championship right back, I remember you saying, and nothing more.
Yeah, I did.
What was? I mean, I don't know if you've watched him, Jim.
I might have done. I'm not going to tell you whether I have or I haven't. I might have done.
So what's happened is, from a footballing perspective, do you think there's been just such massive development from Sheffield United, or do you think he's been maybe surrounded by potentially a better defence? It's just
don't you dare.
Potentially a better manager. Who knows?
What are you doing?
So what do you think's happened then? Because there has been, from what you were saying about Jayden Bogle, which if you net the Battlelines episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think was what Jimmy was when he was going.
It hurts.
But so what's happened there then? Is he just taken to it a little bit better at Leeds? What do you think it is?
Well, first and foremost, he wasn't our starting right back for a long time because George Baldock were in front of him, and rightly so, in my opinion. And because I'm not saying Bogle could never have been a better player than Baldock. It's just Baldock had the shirt and very rarely lost it.
Yeah.
There was the odd occasion if Baldock were injured or there were a period of time where Bogle was getting in front of George, and but we always saw it as George was the sound defender who you could always rely on to close the space and make you safe down the flank, and he was the protective sort of fundamental right back, if you like, and he got forward well. His end product was always questionable, but again, he wouldn't be playing for Sheffield United if he was another Kyle Walker. The opposite to it was Jayden Bogle, who was great going forward, and he catches the eye in terms of how he links play, he underlaps, overlaps with the winger, or in our case, it was sometimes the centre half would do it, or he'd come inside on the right midfielder, and he always caught the eye from right back or right wing back, depending on what position we played. But for those that watched him week in, week out would know, and it's a problem we still have to this day, because, and don't get me wrong, I'd much rather have Jayden Bogle in the side now, but he's left wanting defensively, and I think he gets caught out at the top level. Now, what I have to say is that was when he was playing for Sheffield United. I do think he has worked on elements of his game, whether that's an individual improvement, whether that's an identified weakness in his game from Leeds United side of things. I think he feels, I'm not saying he's again become a top right back at Premier League level. No. He's certainly holding his own. It will still get caught out from time to time. I think he's much less likely now to be caught ball watching. I think he's a lot more disciplined than he has been previously. And I think he still relies slightly on his pace to get him out of trouble. But if he's got those attributes, then he's still going to be a big contributor to your team. And I have to say, because it's all on record, I can't backtrack and pretend I never said it. I did think it were
I think you liked Harry Clark over him. I think you said you'd take Harry Clark every day of the week over him.
Some of us are desperate to get them teams up, aren't they? Them best 11s. I do throw some red herrings out every now and again. I'll chuck you in Harry Clark if I can get Burrows in over Firpo. I think that was what it was. Something like that.
Well, yeah.
But, so Jayden Bogle's been a great signing for you. I can't say any other. And to say anything else would sort of, I've not got any credibility anyway, but it would absolutely, it'd be an embarrassment for me to come on and say, it's crap what you're talking about, because clearly he's done a good job for you. And I think he was one of your better signings last season. If not, you're up there with Tanaka as your best signing.
No, I think he was, mate. I think I'd go as far to saying he's probably been Leeds' best signing in the last 2 or 3 years. I think he's above Tanaka at the minute, which is, I'm sure it cripples you, but for £5 million, 5.5. Sorry, 5.5 in the know. Ollie Stale Biscuit says 147 to hit the light. Got to pump those numbers. These are rookie numbers. Yeah, let's get them ranked up, everybody. There's a few of you, and I've said this to Jim before. I've noticed a couple of these now, which is getting frustrating from YouTube. Like, people not having notifications sent to them when shows are going live, and I don't know what's going on there. So if you're on Jimmy's channel, if you're on mine, make sure you slap that, you hitting that like button, because I think this algorithm's killing us at the minute. I don't know what's going on. Remy says Sunderland will fall off, in my opinion. Still a very young squad. Hearing a lot of that. I think they've prepared for it. I think they've got a squad depth that's decent enough to maybe, at least.
Are you looking at that, Con? Because obviously some of your fans are looking at which three are we going to finish above. So now, like Remy, for example, is hoping that Sunderland, and you will be all by proxy, will be hoping that Sunderland start to drop points. But are you looking at other sides at the moment? Are you thinking, great, I hope Wolves' form continues and all this? Or are you thinking more, just concentrate on us, get the game to game. We play Burnley next, beat Burnley. Go and do not lose against Burnley, and then move on to West Ham. Is it more about what you're doing than what other teams are doing, or are you already having to look at three teams that you're trying to identify as being better than?
It's hard. I think it's hard in the Premier League not to do it. It's hard. It's you look at the teams, and yeah, it's not the fact that I'm thinking that we've had a better start, and this probably unfortunately comes into the Callum Fowler realm of thinking a little bit, but it's the fact that you do look at the teams and you think, who's really going to be down there? What three can you say convincingly, like genuine authority that they're going to finish, as below Leeds? Yeah. Is it going to be Sunderland? I've said Sunderland are going to stay up. I do think Sunderland will stay up. So then I'm looking at three finishing below Leeds. I think Burnley will be in that pile, because I think they just don't have enough firepower. So then I'm looking at another two. It's hard, mate. It is hard. So I think all you can do is just keep, and if Leeds not surprise you, but if Leeds play against Burnley and play against West Ham and we get 6 points or 4.6 points, it's a great return. And then you are probably looking at these teams because you're thinking, well, Leeds are just doing so well. But I think when you're hanging around the bottom like we are now, and we will be throughout the season, naturally it is something that we're going to do. I mean, because you mentioned earlier on about Sunderland, and you think maybe they're a little bit better off than us in a sense, and that's fine, that's understandable. I probably maybe would agree with you just on the points tally, maybe the fact they've got three strikers, two of which we said, didn't we, Jimmy, they'd acclimatise in terms of Mjenda and Isidore, and they're the only Championship strikers who have done. They're
athletes, mate. They're athletes, and that's what they've signed as well. They've signed proper athletes. Premier League players are athletes, and I think it's where Tanaka may be slightly falling short a little bit, and where you think the technically gifted players, absolutely, and in the Championship they stand out head and shoulders. But Vinny Souza would be my only example, and he were very poor for us in the Premier League. But I think if we'd have got up this time and he'd have stayed with us, having more confidence behind him, I think he'd have stood out as one of our better players in the Premier League. It doesn't mean he'd have seen us over the line and would have been fine and all that sort of thing. But
if you'd have maybe surrounded him with athletes,
exactly
like Anton Stack, Sean Longstaff, athletes like that, he might have brought out his game a little bit more.
Absolutely right. And I think it's underestimated how important that is at Premier League level. And I think that has to be part of the core criteria when you're looking at recruitment, because you can look at players who've got good records and things like that. We fell into that trap a little bit, even at Championship level. And we had a really small side to start the season, like a really small side. We'd sold Kiefer Moore, Vinny Souza, and El Ahmedhodzic. And we've got like Jack Robinson, were probably our tallest player at that point. And you think, you come to a set piece and it's not just outnumbered. You come up against a team like QPR or somebody like that, and you think, oh my God, they're all giants here.
Yeah.
And it's an underrated metric, really, because people look at the numbers and really they're not looking at everything, the whole pie, if you like. And I think you need those athletes in your side. You need those that can run box to box all game, 90 minutes, an engine that just keeps going and going. And have Leeds got it more so than Sunderland? Maybe that's an edge that they have on you. I don't think they're miles in front of you, by the way. And I know you've sort of...
I think there's an argument to say they're not in front of us. But I think there's an argument to say they're not in front of us. I'd say there's maybe more depth there in the forward line. I would put our midfield up against theirs. I think they've got some brilliant players in there. But I mean, you'd probably Xhaka, isn't it? I mean, he's had a fantastic start to the season. But
yeah,
then you've got with Leeds. I know it sounds daft, but you'd throw, I see Xhaka as a hard working, obviously a classy player in there. Maybe that has the edge,
Yeah.
but I think
He's a good signing, isn't he?
But I think Longstaff's been excellent for Leeds. I think he's been very, very good. And Leeds have a good 4 midfield of Stack, of him, of Ampadu. Oh, sorry, Jim. Of Ampadu and of Tanaka. And you can rotate that a little bit.
How's Ampadu got on?
No, he's been good. Yeah. Sorry, was that a dig? I don't know.
No, I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
It's just because you went like that. You went.
Yeah, because he's one that I'm yet to be convinced on. Bogle, fair enough, he has sort of made me eat my words a little bit, but I'm still not convinced. And I think he will fall into that trap of being a good championship player and maybe can't cut it physically at Premier League level. But we'll soon find out over the season, won't we, whether that's the case or not.
Yeah, definitely. I'd call him like a much more refined, better Ollie Norwood. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'd call him.
Would you?
Would you? Not my Ollie. But yeah, let's get into a few comments. Knox says, hey lads, how are we? Burnley and Wolves will go down. I think Burnley and Wolves feels kind of realistic. I saw something today, Jim, and it was basically a big post saying Wolves are going to go hard in January for signings, and that's another strand of it, isn't it? It's another strand of it. You're going to get these clubs in around the bottom, which obviously you wouldn't really see in the Championship. Let's say worst case scenario, Sheffield United are dotting around that bottom 5. I know I'm not going to say I don't know that much about your monetary sort of stations right now, but I would hazard a guess that you'd be able to go a little bit stronger than others down there.
Yes, yeah.
With Leeds, there is a conversation that other teams, West Ham, Wolves, probably even Sunderland with their PSR,
will outspend you. Yeah.
Will outspend us, and it kind of gets to a stage then where it's, and we're not really talking about that now. But that January is massive, and they've already come out, Wolves, and said they're going to back him very, to a large extent in January, and that's, I guess, another fragment of conversation there, isn't it? Because it's big, it's huge.
It is, and they've got the infrastructure behind the club after years of Premier League football, and that gives them the PSR flexibility, doesn't it? So whereas Leeds will cut it far, even if you had the money, you might not be able to spend it because you're close to the line.
Yeah,
their line is much further away, so they can spend it. It's a really stacked disadvantage against the promoted teams, and it has been for a long time. I think PSR does us absolutely no favors at all. I know why it's in. I just don't agree with it as a concept personally, because if you've got owners that are able to spend more to get you out of the situation, then they should be allowed to do it, in my opinion.
But it doesn't benefit us, does it? It kills us. Absolutely kills us. Bean Lene says, Sunderland fan here, I'm chuffed with the start we've had, but nothing is guaranteed in the Prem. Couple of injuries, especially to our back line. Of course, Xhaka, things could change
Lene?
quickly.
Or is it Lene?
She said last time, and I've not seen her on the channel in ages. It's like Lene or Laney. I don't know. Yeah.
Love to Blade Ramble Laney. You'll get more respect.
You get better enunciation of your name.
Lene.
That's it. Alessandro says, wasted the summer and 2 months with a Spanish PE teacher. The Vinny gap is killer until Jan, but we'll be fine with CW in the dugout. Indeed. Paul says, Burnley, Brentford. What do you think of Brentford just off the back? I'm not 100% that they'll stay up, but it's just, I think we're all into that Brentford mold now, aren't we? Where you just don't see them going down at
you ask our mate and he'll say that pushing for Europe. But
God.
Keith Andrews, unproven. I'm not going to say bad manager, bad appointment, but completely unproven. So you can't crucify them on one hand, but you can't also say they're going to be absolutely fine on the other hand. They've lost a lot of good players. I mean, Kelleher, they beat you to Kelleher, didn't they? I know you fancied him at one stage, but I think they could be in trouble. The only other thing is, if they do start to slip, then they will be in the same bracket as a Wolves, where they can change the manager and they can give him a huge budget and they can go again, and they've got deeper pockets. So what I think Leeds fans should be wanting for Brentford and Wolves, really, to a degree, is a fairly steady run till November, December, so they don't look like doomed. They might be in trouble, but they don't look doomed. And then you want to press on mid-January onwards to sort of try and either stay above them or leapfrog them, and then push away from them before they can.
You're gonna have a real task with Callum Fowler trying to keep that balanced in December when we're struggling against Liverpool, City, and Chelsea. You're gonna struggle with that, mate.
So I'm not even going to try and keep him balanced. So.
But I told you they were going down, dirty Leeds bastards.
They bet them.
They bet them. I'm sorry if you're from Barnsley, but Jesus. Brentford won't be relegated. That's ridiculous. They are established. Yeah, but there's been established teams that have gone down before.
No one is too good to go down. That's all I'll say. No one is too good to go down.
No, they've got a tricky run as well. I think Opta have got their next 5 as the hardest in the Premier League. So we'll wait and see after that.
Not that we're looking at how other teams are doing.
No, we don't do that. Just focus on ourselves.
Looking at the stats over the next 5 games, Brentford have got the worst running.
And I've just realised actually that Watford have appointed ex-Leeds United manager Javi Gracia. I don't know if that's his first. I mean, presumably, I think he might have been out in Saudi, has he? But
he's been at Watford previously, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. He did all right there as well. But
yeah, he did.
Interesting. Is that making you a little bit nervous? Manager bounce and all that?
I'm nervous anyway, mate. I'm nervous anyway at the moment. But no, come kick off. After international break, I'll be confident again as ever, like I always am, because Chris Wilder will do his press conference. He'll snap me into that trance where I believe everything he says and I follow blindly, and I'll willingly go wherever he wants to lead me. So I'll be absolutely fine come kick off. But at the moment, yeah, it's not great when you're trying to turn your season around against a team who's slightly underperforming, and they decide to bring in a new manager to bounce. But it didn't work for us against Charlton. So it didn't work for us when Ruben Sayers had his first game against Bristol City. So it's not a magic formula that's guaranteed to work. So hopefully we can still turn them over.
You want to see that Chris Wilder celebration was like, no, giving it one of them. Maybe just a bit of
tapping badge.
Maybe a bit of antics with the Watford bench as well, with the last minute winner. Just getting into a bit of a scrap. Possibly. Yeah, he had a red card the other day as well, didn't he? Booting the ball into the crowd. Yeah. So will he be off for this one then?
Rumours are that he may be, actually. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know, because it was hoping to get the whole thing squashed before Hull, but then there's been some rumours come out after the Hull game that his appeal hasn't been considered yet. So I don't know, mate. Is the honest answer. We'll soon find out. So we'll see.
John Broxham says, "Look at the positives, Jimmy. You'll be big dogs in League One."
Oh, shut up, John.
Knox says, "Why does Sheffield United ever sack Wilder as your best manager by a mile? Just keep him FS." John B says, "Connor and Jimbo
converted, by the way. Yeah, absolutely.
Jimbo and Connor remind me of Saint and Greaves. He'd love it. Oof, old school. Who's who? Let us know."
Greavesy, by the way.
Forest going for a third manager. Could fully disable their season. Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be gone. He's going to be gone very soon. And then, yeah, look, if they keep until the end of the season, then look, great. We might have another filler there for the relegation spots. I mean, they've got a lot of good players, but I think
they might be in trouble, Forest.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah. All right, mate. Well, we'll leave it there. Guys, and look, you're all aware now. I know you all go over to his channel in droves, but we can do the collaboration thing now. Have you seen that? On the old YouTube. So I'll get Jim in the old collaboration. If you don't know, you will know soon. So make sure you're obviously checking out Blades Ramble and Blades FC. Have you got any Ramble FC? Sorry, have you got any other channels
behind the Ramble? Yeah, we'll stick that on as well. So
cooking with Jimmy.
If you're watching this after the fact, now tell me if I'm wrong here, Con, but if you're watching this after the live, there should be a button below that allows you to subscribe to all the channels linked. Yes. Is that right?
Yes.
That's decent, isn't it?
There will be. It is quite good, actually. And it'll say one Leeds and Blades Ramble. That's what it'll say. So it's like it's as if we've done it together. So it's great. Yeah.
But you'll get all the money for it.
I got all the money, yeah. So make sure you don't. I've got no donations here, you cheap so-and-sos. No, I'm joking, guys. I'm joking. God, oh no.
Please, please.
More, sir, more. They'll be like, oh, God.
You're going to be on Callum Fowler's stream. They're always flying in for him.
Oh, no, they are. Yeah, £5 here, £2 there. And he spouts nonsense as well. Kisses. Right, good. God, yeah, we sound bitter, don't we? Two bitter old men.
We are.
Yeah, we are. Right, guys, thank you so much. And